Appreciate it. Something similar to a Rocky poster, because no matter everything that's going on against all odds, me personally and the team, that's the goal. That's the goal. Love to be Rocky. I'm a Philly guy.
I heard you just talked to the team. What did you say? What was the message?
I came across something that I wrote a long time ago. I can't even remember who said it. I've come across a lot of influential people, but I just randomly came across it, and it's an acronym. It's BCEF, and it's believe, compete, endure, and finish. And it goes for life. And I felt that was something I should share to the team. I said that at the end of the day, you really can't accomplish anything if you don't believe it yourself first. And then when it comes to ball, or really, anything, the workforce, America, the best win, you got to compete. And then you have to endure at some points in life. You're going to come across adversity, and you're going to come across things that don't go your way, but how can you get through it? And then at the end of the day, you got to finish. I mentioned that, last game we didn't finish well, and that's why we lost. So it all goes together, but that's something that I thought that it would be nice to share, and I think that I got the message across.
Have you been surprised or impressed that more of your teammates haven't packed it in and said, I'm out of here? They pretty well stuck with this thing.
I want to say surprised. I want to say surprised. At the end of the day, you talk about what's a Spartan dog. You feel me? What is a Spartan dog? A Spartan dog is resilient no matter what's going on. We've had a lot of adversity, obviously, on and off the field. But at the end of the day, we came here to do two things. I was just talking to my dad about this, actually. We came here to do two things. The first thing, obviously, is to get a degree, which I thankfully have already gotten. And then the other is to play football. There was a point in my life where I was told I potentially couldn't be able to do that. So I'm enjoying it. And I just tried to get that. I've always tried to get that point across, even while I was hurt. You get a chance to play ball, no matter what's going on. So that's what we got to take advantage of.
How has all the adversity, the losing and the coaching change and all the uncertainty helped shape you as a leader, if at all?
I think it's made me a better man. Ever since I've came to Michigan State, I've experienced adversity. Pretty much basically from a couple weeks when I stepped on campus, I've experienced adversity in some way. Some directly affecting me, some inadvertently affecting me. But it's made me a better man. It's grown me. The experiences that I've had here, the highs and the lows, has made me more mature. And at the same time, I think as a group, we've, even through all of this, we've gotten closer. And as teammates, we've gotten closer. We hang out outside of ball. It's just about the camaraderie that's grown. And then at the end of the day, adversity is bound to come at life. But like I said before, it's about enduring it and then coming out stronger.
Some people can bounce back. Others just can't seem to get off the canvas. Use that Rocky analogy.
Yeah.
What's the key to resiliency?
I think it's being consistent. When you chop at something so often, so frequently, it's bound to break. And I think the number one thing for us is our big thing, like I said before, is we just can't beat ourselves. And then resiliency, you talk about resilience, the key to being resilient is about consistency, doing your job, the consistency of doing your job. And at the end of the day, man, just playing hard. Just playing hard. Like, you got to want it. We talk about being a Spartan dog. You got to want it. And you got to go get it. That's what it is. So being resilient is what this program is about. It's what it's always been about. So that's what we got to go and do.
As a player, what is it like to invest, 3, 4 years in a system and know it can possibly change? Obviously, given the uncertainty with the coaching staff and maybe a possible regime change here. And what's it like to invest that much time, knowing that it could all change, the stuff that you learned and tried to process to get better at?
I think at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff that's not in your control. For instance, a coaching change. As players, obviously, the play that you have can have an indication on that. But at the end of the day, it's about controlling what you can control. So as I mentioned before, we came here to do two things: that's to get a degree and play ball. So at the end of the day, we still get to play ball, regardless of what's going on. There's a quote that my dad and I spoke about recently, but it's come about a lot in my life. Perception, if you allow it, can be the biggest thief of your reality. And everybody can perceive things to be a lot worse than they are, especially when the main things in life aren't going as you would expect it. But for me personally, when you hit a point where you can't do the normal things, there was a point where I couldn't walk, I had to get rides everywhere and stuff like that. You can start to become more grateful for things that you took advantage of, or I took for granted, I should say. for instance, even being able to go make your own food. So I mean, at the end of the day, it's like we get a chance to play ball, and that's what we're here to do. So regardless of everything else that's going on, that's the number one thing. You got to keep the main thing the main thing, and that's us playing ball.
A lot of people thought that this year maybe was a turning point year, you know, and obviously, you know, with the defense and kind of getting settled there, and with some of the younger guys coming up. I mean, you know, where do you think that leaves them? I mean, obviously with the fact that, you know, they may have to learn a new system and such, and going forward, I mean, how do you think that's going to affect the program?
I'm not sure. The thing that we've been pushing within the program is, you know, you got to focus on the present. I mean, when the time comes, people will do what they got to do. But I mean, right now, like the number one thing, like I said before, is we got an opportunity to play ball this weekend. So we focus on it week by week. Once you start looking ahead, even if things are going well, you can slip up in the moment. So focus on the present and then just work to that when we get to it.
Since we haven't talked to you, I have to ask this bluntly. Do you sense the players feel let down by Mel Tucker?
Can't speak to that, man. I'm not sure. I mean, me personally, I can speak for myself.
Yeah.
Me personally,
Yeah.
I wouldn't say it let down. I mean, it's obviously an unfortunate situation, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's things are gonna happen in life. It's life, so it's an unfortunate situation. The coach that technically, I mean, obviously I came here to play for Coach D, but I've been with Coach Tucker the whole way. So I mean, obviously the coach that I've been playing with is no longer here. So I mean, like, all I can say is it's an unfortunate situation, but survive in advance.
Has
I mean, that's
Tucker
all I can do.
communicated with you guys or not?
I've texted him personally, but I mean, I'm sure that his phone is quite often reached. So I mean, I haven't been able to get in touch with him, but
I see.
it's not bad blood.
I see.
You mentioned your dad a couple of times. How often do you talk to him about these kinds of things, and how much did you learn from watching him in Philly and then in Cleveland and overcoming things like that?
I mean, so my dad's my idol. You know, in life, like I want to be my dad. Everything that he did, everything that he's done is what I want to do. So I mean, I've always asked him whenever I need advice for anything. He's the first person I ask. So I mean, growing up, I can't really say I remember when he was in Philly. Cleveland, I remember some of those games, but growing up and seeing him play, I'd say the thing that I've gotten the most from him is being a professional about life. The way he goes about things, I go about things very similarly, and I'd say that that's the number one thing that I've taken from him.
You're talking about endurance. Were there times, or can you speak to the times that maybe you were close to walking away, hanging it up, and what brought you back?
I'd say, I mean, for me personally, the number one thing that I struggled with was there was a point where, like, with my specific injury, there was no, like, you know, a lot of times there's like a set point where you work towards, like, you should be able to play by this point. With my injury, there was none. It was if you can, you can. If you can't, you know, we'll keep working until you can. So there was no, like, set goal. So for me, I was like, okay, what can I do now? I can attack what I'm doing in the moment, and then what comes. So there wasn't a point where I was like, man. Was there a point, I should say, like, where I was like, man. But even in my head, I'm like, you know, if I stop trying, all that's going to happen 5-10 years from now is I'm going to say, well, what if I did this? And that was what's always stopped me from doing it. What if? I never want to be a what if guy. So it was just about attacking the process, and you know, it was a long journey.
You mentioned you can't worry about things you can't control, but I would imagine when this all went down a few weeks ago, it was quite a blow to you guys. I'm just curious, how's it gotten to this point? Has it gotten easier? Is the distractions gone? Where are you guys at now as opposed to when this first went down?
I think when it first went down, we tried to, like, numb it down. We had players meetings, and we tried to, like, say, like, hey, we just got to play ball and focus on that. But I think obviously it's one of those distractions that really kind of, like, it obviously affects the program. So
It's easier said than done, too.
Yeah, exactly. So it was hard to do. I think now we've really honed in and really just got back to playing ball. Like today's practice defensively, I wasn't with offense obviously, but defensively there was a lot of energy, a lot of hitting. It was loud, and we were all enjoying it. It was a great practice. Out of the practices that I've been a part of, today was the best practice that we've had. So, like I said before, it's about building for the future, man. And the way to do that is to attack the present.
Do you think it's just back to normal? Like, is it, do you guys feel like back to normal as a team?
I'd say so. I think in terms of before everything went down, I'd say we're getting back to that point where it's as if nothing happened. Personally,
Darius, do you mind detailing what your injury was specifically?
I don't think I'm allowed to do that.
Okay.
Personally, you can ask Ben.
Okay.
Ben.
But obviously it was serious. Game one, you're in a new role, everybody,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and just freak sort of circumstances, and you're getting up and you're trying to walk off the field. I guess what was going through your head at that point?
I mean, so my position changed obviously, and it was new for me, and I knew the defense quite well, so it wasn't like that big of a switch for me, which was nice. And the thing about it is, you look at the game, I was playing well. I was playing very well personally. Now I don't think I had like crazy stats, but I was doing much. Like I was playing really well. So when it happened, it was like came around, come back, and it was like I wasn't even in the play. I kind of in, and then boom, and it felt like just a regular hit, and I fell on the ground, and like I kind of like rolled over. I don't know, I do that sometimes, but it wasn't anything bad. But I kind of like rolled over, and when I got up, it's like I got up and I was like, whew. And I think I went back down, and by the time I tried to get back up, I couldn't walk anymore, and they kind of let me off. But I mean, some things happen.
I remember Chester saying afterward how awful he felt about that whole thing. I mean, did you tell him, hey man, football?
Yeah, no, I told him, like, he came to me while I was in the training room that day, and I was like,